What's up guys, it's Corey Wagner and today we are at M-Hub in Chicago and we're taking over Project Medtech's page to show you guys their Midwest showcase. So I'll be taking you guys along today from breakfast to happy hour and showing you guys all types of fun things that they have here. Everything from startup pitches to panel discussions from serial entrepreneurs and angel investors and all types of fun stuff in between. Now let's get into the fun. I'll tell you what, there's just not much more I enjoy than the couple times a year I get to come into these rooms with the innovators and experts in the medtech field and just sit back and listen to a group of highly intelligent people talk about what they know best. And it's only gotten more fun over the past 4 years of being brought along by the Project Medtech team because of the simple fact that I've become a familiar face at these events and I've been able to build a few friendships along the way. Alright, about to feast on some breakfast, but I'll tell you what, one of the coolest things about these, and this is a little anecdotal, but I have been coming to these Project Medtech events for like 3-4 years now, and I do hear this every time. I always do testimonial videos, and one of the number one things that I hear from people is that these particular events, they're set up in a way that just really opens up the networking, which is why I feel like even though, you know, I'm someone who's not in the industry per se, and I just kind of come to these events to do the fun video stuff and make these fun vlogs for the Project Medtech team, I still have gotten to I'm a familiar face now, and a lot of these people are familiar faces, and I've been able to build relationships and make friends with a lot of these people. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that. We got a fun day. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna finish this breakfast, and yeah, we're gonna get into some fast rounds. So let's get the day going, huh? This is always one of the most unique parts of the experience for me. You see, the people in these fast rounds, named because it's essentially quick pitches of service providers, but they might not be the people you think of first in the medtech industry. But once you hear their pitches, you realize the value they can bring to a startup company. Whether it's help with regulatory or legal or product design even, these often feel to me like the services that startups might overlook at first and end up costing themselves in time later. But I guess that's exactly why Project Medtech always makes it a point to include them in these events. Okay, just wanted to check in real quick after a few of the fast rounds. I just love these. These are so interesting. They're not what I would usually think of in terms of the medtech industry. Sometimes it's lawyers, sometimes it's just like, yeah, just all these peripheral industries that aren't top of mind when I necessarily think of the medtech industry. They obviously are products that you're going to need if you're bringing a product to market. But alright, anyway, speaking of startups, we've got one of my favorite parts, the startup pitches. These are always a blast. I just love hearing about all the new future-facing technologies that are coming down the road or have potential to come down the road. So let's go check it out. And here we are, always one of my favorite parts of the Project Medtech events, the startup pitches. Listening to entrepreneurs pitch their solutions to the challenges facing the medical community is always fascinating and enlightening to me. These are brilliant people building brilliant teams and hopefully eventually bringing brilliant products to market. And the only thing more fun than seeing a few of these teams take home some cash prizes from the Project Medtech team is the couple of times I've seen some of these startups in the past end up leaving the conference with connections and conversations that have led to serious funding of their projects. It's like the Sundance Film Festival for movies. It's just really cool to see a little glimpse of tomorrow's technology today. Hey guys, just wanted to check in after the startup pitches, which is always one of my favorite things that I get to catch it at these Project Medtech events, especially the Midwest Showcase. Knowing that these are all Midwest-based startups is just really, really interesting to see all the kind of cool stuff coming out of the Midwest. And just a huge variety of different medtech products that these startups are working on, trying to bring to market. Insane, awesome stuff. There's probably 15 or 20 different startup pitches that are here today. And speaking of, at the Midwest Showcase that Project Medtech puts on, they actually have a separate couple of rooms where they have product showcases. So yeah, that's what I want to show you next. Let's go check out the product showcase rooms. They're really, really cool. And yeah, let's go check it out. Alright, this is just awesome. Some of the Midwest's brightest entrepreneurs have brought their MedTech products to M-Hub for Project MedTech's event. I love the startup pitches, but this is one layer deeper. Instead of a 5-minute pitch with a slideshow, you can see the product being used. You can ask questions. You can take your time with it. It's honestly everything I love about the startup pitches with a little bit more. This is always one of my favorite spots. Right here, this is all the different product showcases here, or not even all of them, this is like half of them. And then in this room, there's another set. Just really cool. I mean, a lot of times you got like the CEOs here explaining what their product does, and they have all these different like demos. You can see the products, you can kind of get your hands on them, and just learn a little more in depth outside the startup pitches, what they're actually doing. And it's awesome, it's amazing. But anyways, we've got more fun stuff to get to. Let's head to the panel discussions and check it out. From conversations about diversified funding to talks with university folks about where does innovation come from, to dilutive capital or the value of partnerships. There's always high-level folks coming to these Project MedTech events to be part of the panels. My favorite to listen to is almost always from the perspective of angel investors. I just find it fascinating. But at the end of the day, no matter the topic or no matter the panel, I know I'm going to learn something interesting. Just checking in after the panels, just wanted to say, it's just so incredible the amount of intelligent, interesting, and dynamic people that the Project MedTech team gets for the Midwest Showcase. And I know it's kind of a broken record, but how cool that all these people are in the Midwest. It just really is incredible. There's a lot of fun stuff coming out of here. But we've got probably the most fun 2 things to get to that are left in the day. One, giving money away to some startups, whoever the winners are of the startup competition, so we're about to see that. And then 2, arguably the best time, happy hour networking. So let's go finish this day up and see what's going on.
And to top it all, when shadows fall.
You'll love to see it. New startups getting money. I'm sure it's especially meaningful knowing it's based off of their peers voting. And not only that, but we all know in the startup world, every dollar makes a difference, and I'm sure these folks will stretch those dollars as far as they can.
When the shadows fall.
Congrats to the winners. How awesome is that? You just love to see these startups get a little bit of cash. And shout out to Project MedTech for funding some folks. That's awesome. All right, let's grab some beers for this happy hour, huh? Love the networking. I know it was back at breakfast when I mentioned how these Project MedTech events feel small enough that you can really get some great networking in. But don't take my word for it, just look at this. Everyone feels accessible here, and that's one of the things I've heard most over the years from attendees. It really feels like the angel investor with access to millions of dollars of funding or the entrepreneur with the next great idea is really right there and available to talk. And at the end of the day, isn't this whole thing really just about bringing people in the Midwest MedTech world together? I mean, how do you not love it? Okay guys, the networking and the happy hour is kind of winding down. Absolutely fantastic again, as always. Not only the entire event, but specifically, and I know I mentioned this kind of at the beginning of this video, and maybe I'm sounding a little bit like a broken record, but I hear time and time again during the testimonials, every single one of these events, particularly the Midwest Showcase, that the networking is always something that people really take away from this. So great job on that. I think it's fantastic. Clearly, if I'm not even in the industry and I feel as though I come away from these making friends, clearly these people are approachable, and that's one of the special things about this event and the events that Project MedTech puts on. What I'm curious though, from your perspective, is how do you think it went, and what were any major takeaways that you took away from this, and then maybe where can people follow along in case they want to come to the next one?
Yes, the startup pitches were really good, but they're good every year.
Yep.
It's really, I got to talk to a lot of the investors here, and if a startup comes up to them, they're not going to tell them if they did good or bad.
Sure.
But they're certainly going to tell me if they did good or bad. And what was really interesting was they were genuinely interested in having more conversations with the startup companies. That piece is really cool. The second piece that's awesome is the other institutions in the area, like Northwestern, University of Minnesota, Case Western, and University of Cincinnati are all on a panel. And then afterward, they're all talking in a group about well, how do you do this, and how do you do tech transfer, and how do you think about this? And it's like, that's also critical because they're the ecosystem partners. And then to your point about the people, like getting good people in a room that are willing to network is super important, and they got to be friendly. And just by nature, the Midwest,
that's our thing. That and ranch.
Yeah, that and ranch. But in terms of following us, LinkedIn's great. Our website, projectmedtech.com, is great. And tuning into the podcast, Project MedTech Podcast. And we're out of here.
It's not falling.